We've been waiting on it for a long time.
By the time Brett Baer gets host of the show, he's going to just tear off his sleeves. He's going to be so hot.
You think so?
And he can do it. He's
like
got the strength of
Hulk.
10 men. Yes, absolutely.
All right, a big day down in Washington today. Our commander-in-chief and a special advisor, Ivanka Trump, they're going to be getting on a plane heading to Wisconsin, focusing on putting America back to work.
That's right. We're going to talk to the governor of Wisconsin in a moment. This is Attorney General Jeff Sessions prepares to take the hot seat on Capitol Hill.
I don't know. Could he be ready for this? Griff Jenkins is live in D.C. covering it all. Griff, it's going to be in the open public. What kind of preview do you have for us?
It's going to be hot. Another high-stakes hearing causing a frenzy in Washington. Surprise. This time, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, as you mentioned, on the hot seat. But it's not sidelining the president and his daughter, Ivanka, from focusing on job creation today. They're heading to Wisconsin to tour a technical college with Governor Scott Walker promoting technical skills training and apprenticeships as part of what they are calling Workforce Development Week. Now, Governor Walker will be on this program in just minutes. And yesterday, first daughter and special advisor to the president, Ivanka, was noting that there is a viable path for Americans other than a four-year college experience.
There are 6 million available American jobs. So we're constantly hearing from CEOs that they have job openings, but they don't have workers with the skill set they need to fill those jobs.
Right.
So really bridging that gap and bringing experience-based education to the forefront.
But all eyes in Washington will be on the grilling of Jeff Sessions under oath and facing questions regarding his contact with Russian officials, the firing of James Comey, and now whether the president is even considering firing special counsel Bob Mueller. The White House, they're welcoming this testimony today, saying the sooner we can move on, the better.
I think the president's been clear last week in the Rose Garden that he believes that the sooner we can get this addressed and dealt with, that there's been no collusion. He wants this to get investigated as soon as possible and be done with it so he can continue with the business of the American people.
Now, the grilling begins at 2:30 this afternoon, and that's about the same time the president will be en route to Wisconsin. I guess we'll just have to stay tuned to see if he tweets about Sessions' testimony. He did not, for the record, tweet during James Comey's testimony. Guys?
Right.
Look for a split screen.
I didn't tweet about anything that happened on Monday. Nothing about James Comey on Monday. So it was very about jobs yesterday.
Sure. Meanwhile, Axios is online right there. In the last 5 minutes, they put up what Jeff Sessions is going to say. He's going to say this afternoon he did not meet privately with Ambassador Kislyak at the Mayflower Hotel in April of 2016. He did not initially disclose the original meeting during the campaign with Ambassador Kislyak because he was following its instructions. That'll be interesting to hear. And he will dispute what James Comey said last week of the characterization of a conversation they had in the month of February, which is a big deal because Comey gave his account under oath, just as Jeff Sessions will be at 2:30 this afternoon.
And then he's going to have to explain about the firing of James Comey, what went into that, did you play a role, and justify the fact that he did it, being that he recused himself from the Russia investigation, recused himself. To me, it's very easy. Just because I recuse myself from that element of it doesn't mean I can't judge the overall performance of the FBI director.
Right, right. Well, speaking of James Comey, we saw him testify, as you were saying, on Capitol Hill last week, and he was talking about how Loretta Lynch, the former Attorney General under President Obama, had asked him to downplay the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Hey, let's don't call it an investigation. Let's call it a matter instead. Right. But guess what? The information is getting worse. There's new information out this morning. Reports are that James Comey has more on Loretta Lynch than that 45-minute tarmac conversation with President Clinton.
That was the beginning of it. To add to that, there's rumors that evidently that James Comey may have gotten hold of a memo to the DNC from Loretta Lynch that said, don't worry, there won't be any prosecution of Hillary Clinton. If that indeed is the contents of that memo, it was given to lawmakers behind closed doors.
Out on the tarmac, it creates a conflict of interest. And then, so they had some exchanges, and then he said, and by the way, take a look at this. And this is what you were talking about. It was a sensitive document that she did not know that the FBI had. And according to Circa, it was between two political figures that suggested that a Lynch was in the tank for Hillary Clinton. Here's Sarah Carter from Circa talking about this bombshell.
We know that lawmakers were briefed on a meeting that Director Comey, former Director Comey, had with Loretta Lynch, where he confronted her not just about the tarmac, but about a sensitive piece of communication. It was a piece of communication between two political figures that basically alluded to the fact that Loretta Lynch was going to put the kibosh on any type of investigation against Hillary Clinton. And when he confronted her with that piece of evidence, she basically stared at him, and there was a long period, as he described it to lawmakers, a long period of steely silence. I thought that was really telling. Steely silence. And then she looked up at him, and she asked him if there was nothing more he needed to say, then he should turn around and leave the office.
All right, so if all this is true, let's get this straight. In the first meeting with Comey, Lynch says, no investigation. No, don't investigate Hillary Clinton.
Don't call it that.
Don't call it that. Let's call it a matter. And then she, in this document, in the secret document, she said to a political figure, allegedly, she says, let's put the kibosh on this. Well, James Comey doesn't like the way this is happening, and that's why last summer he came forward with that press conference and he talked about Hillary Clinton and her email, and then he decided at the very end he was not going to indict her.
Well, yeah, he says, I'm not going to recommend it. No prosecutor would take the case. Let the debate begin. So the question is, why go behind closed doors if all this stuff's going to leak out anyway? We heard talk about this back over the summer, that there's something else there, that it was only going to give in a closed session, not an open session, but it would have justified Comey possibly taking the befuddling action that had both sides scratching their head. Judge Napolitano says, I have an idea. Have the current Attorney General do something he would be obligated to do by his job description. Investigate what happened with the old Attorney General and Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton also was running for president, and this would have affected the election that she lost. Listen.
Jim Comey, it now appears, sort of big-footed the Attorney General, just went right around her. He was convinced that she, as the chief federal law enforcement officer of the land, was doing the bidding of the Democratic National Committee and Hillary and Bill Clinton. If Mrs. Lynch, Attorney General Lynch, made law enforcement decisions for political purposes, that's called misconduct in office, and Jeff Sessions, the present Justice Department, should investigate her for that.
All right, so if we're going to have a fit over the Russia collusion, we should have a fit over this. It's the same thing.
Sure. I mean, Washington, D.C. is afire with the suggestion that Russia influenced our election. And yet you look at this, and it sounds like Jim Comey is saying, hey, I got news for you. The past administration influenced the past presidential election. Forget about Russia. And we don't know, you know, collusion, we don't know that. But it sure looks like, according to the former FBI director, there was collusion between the Department of Justice in the form of the Attorney General and the Hillary Clinton campaign. That is, as I depicted earlier, a bombshell.
Right. We'll see if we have another Comey Day on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, it's Jillian time here on our second floor. Hey, Jillian.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to you at home as well. We do have an update on a story that we've been following. We brought it to you an hour ago, and this is breaking just moments ago. Authorities arresting a suspect in connection with the shooting death of a police officer. Lieutenant Patrick Weatherford was responding to a call near Little Rock, Arkansas last night when he was ambushed. Lieutenant Weatherford was a 15-year veteran and a father, leaving behind his wife and young son. Lieutenant Weatherford, just 41 years old. New video of Dennis Rodman touching down in North Korea to meet with Kim Jong-un. You can see it right there. Now, the purpose of his latest visit still unclear. Rodman only telling reporters he's, quote, just trying to open a door. This as the erratic North Korean dictator responds to President Trump's Twitter taunts by threatening to take out New York. The president in the tweets warning North Korea after several missile launches this year. President Trump's border order battle now gearing up for a Supreme Court showdown after another legal setback. A federal appeals court ruling it violates the Constitution by targeting Muslims. But the White House optimistic the Supreme Court will overturn the ruling. And moments ago, President Trump reacting on Twitter saying, quote, well, as predicted, the Ninth Circuit did it again, ruled against the travel ban at such a dangerous time in the history of our country. And the Golden State of Steph Curry they can get.
Ooh, a mouth guard?
Yes, that's a true story.
It would have his DNA on it.
Yes.
Interesting.
It would. I wasn't thinking about that.
Gross. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Jillian.
you. All right, coming up on this Tuesday, the president's portrait hangs in government buildings all across the country, but no longer in one town hall. The outrage there boiling over this morning. We got details.
And Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is on deck, plus HUD Secretary Ben Carson and Laura Ingraham. Look at their times and look at their faces.
I'm set my watch.
One of the great examples of skill-based learning and skills-based education, a technical school in Wisconsin, which we're very excited about, to talk about the skills gap and to really highlight the fact that there is a viable path other than a four-year college experience. So really investing in vocational education, skill-based training.
Wow, today President Trump and Ivanka heading to Wisconsin. That was Ivanka yesterday on our show, touring a technical training college as part of the White House's push for jobs. There are jobs. Do we have the skills? Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker will be meeting with the president and his daughter and then having a round table. That'll be all.
In the state about what more can be done, and I really got to hand it to the president. I asked him about this with all the other governors back in February, asked him to make this a priority. That's exactly what they're doing this week, and we're thrilled that one of those key stops is here in Wisconsin.
Well, a lot of those working class jobs are those people that want to put them into office and help them win in Wisconsin. You said the problem, according to one senior administration official, the problem is not money. There are 31 workforce programs spread across 14 different states. It's what type of programs they are. And I'll give you an example of the problem. It might be in education. We got an email during the show about this, about school. I taught welding at my local high school for years. They got rid of my program and put in stage lighting for theater. Now, that might be fine, but that's niche. One is broad, correct?
Yeah, that's a huge change in our state. We've opened the door to what we call dual enrollment. We just put more resources into early college credit to help with technical education in our technical colleges, one of which we're going to be at today, Waukesha County Technical College, who's got a great dual enrollment program. But you're right, it's just a change of the mindset. We've doubled the number of fab labs. When I talked to the president in February about this, it wasn't just using the bully pulpit, for which he's got the biggest bully pulpit in the world. It was looking at all these workforce investment programs, even welfare reform, and saying giving more power to the states, allow us to put a greater emphasis on the dignity that comes from hard work. And when it comes to education and higher education, allow us to streamline those programs, meet the needs that we have in our given states, not a one-size-fits-all approach from Washington.
And we only have 20 seconds left, but Governor, lots from parents. Parents are used to be embarrassed. Oh, my kid has to go to college or I'm a failure. That's just not the case.
No, manufacturing jobs in our state pay 24% more than the typical job. They're much more likely to have benefits, and they have a longer retention rate. There's good careers, not just jobs there, that can take care of someone and their family for years to come.
Governor, have a great day today with your former rival, President Trump, in Wisconsin, and now you guys are tight. Meanwhile, coming up straight ahead, a reason to never pop the question in front of a crowd. Plus, what does the mainstream media have wrong about Attorney General Jeff Sessions?
Laura Ingraham coming up, top of the hour, and Ben Carson in 5 minutes. It's 7:24 now here in New York City. We've got some quick headlines for you right now. Outrage boiling over after a mayor removes the president's portrait from the town hall, replacing this photo with one of a renowned Native American warrior. Jackson, Wyoming Mayor Pete Muldoon defending his decision, saying he isn't required to display signs of respect and that honoring President Trump means the city is taking sides. The county commissioner is calling the move totally disrespectful. And a second chance to graduate for an Army Reserve medic days after a uniform dispute kept him from walking with his classmates. Hundreds showing up to the ceremony held just for Private First Class Harlan Fletcher. The principal apologizing and personally handing him his diploma.
Jeff Sessions will testify before the Senate Intel Committee over Russia's interference in the 2016 election. The Justice Department says Sessions requested an open session so the American people could hear the truth directly from his mouth. Will this help Sessions cut through the media spin? Joining us now is the man who replaced Jeff Sessions in Congress, Republican Alabama Senator Luther Strange. Good morning to you, Senator. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So tell the folks at home who don't know Jeff Sessions what he's like as a person.
Well, I've had the honor and privilege of knowing Obamacare, the president's trip to Wisconsin today, which is critically important in employment, tax reform. There's so many things the American people voted for and are expecting us to do. This, to me, is a huge distraction from that mission. Having said that, I'm glad Jeff's testifying today. He will acquit himself very well. He'll answer the questions. But it's time to move on to the things that people care about.
A lot of people agree with you. He's testifying in public because he wants all of us to hear from his mouth the truth that he says is the truth. What do you think about that? What does it say about his character if he wants to do that?
Well, it says everything about his character. He's not interested in backroom testimony or testimony in private, even if that were an option for him, because he is about telling the truth. He wants the American people to hear it. And more importantly, I think it takes out the media that you referenced, the liberal media for sure, and interpreting what he might have said. Now people get to hear it directly, and I think they'll be very impressed.
Have you talked to him? Do you know what he's planning on saying today?
I have an idea about what he's going to say, but my only conversations with Jeff have been ones of encouragement, thanking him for taking on a very tough job. And because he does believe in the rule of law and enforcing our laws, unlike the previous administration, we've seen a decrease in illegal border crossings, more respect for the rule of law, which is great for our country.
All right, we'll be watching Your Friend today at 2:30. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Coming up, advertisers fleeing the New York production of Julius Caesar after it depicts the killing of President Trump. But CNN's parent company is sticking to its sponsorship. Rob Schmidt has the details just ahead. Plus, HUD Secretary Ben Carson just attended his first cabinet meeting.
Never has there been a president, with few exceptions, in the case of FDR, he had a major depression to handle, who's passed more legislation, who's done more things than what we've done. Between the executive orders and the job-killing regulations that have been terminated, 700,000 jobs have been created in a very short period of time since the election. If we would have said that almost $4 trillion in the stock markets has been created, everybody would have laughed at us. They would have said, oh, that's ridiculous. But that's what it is.
Mr. President gets a privilege to serve the students of this country.
We are engaged with our allies to ensure that they know where our common interests lie, what our expectations are.
It's an honor to represent the men and women of the Department of Defense. For the sacrifices our people are making in order to strengthen our military.
It's an incredible privilege to lead the men and women who are providing intelligence so that we can do the national security mission. And in the finest tradition to say, I'm not going to say a damn thing.
Neurosurgeon, and then you're ringing the bell, and now you're the HUD secretary.
Right.
So what's your message to the people out there that are having a hard time and they want to get a leg up?
Well, there are a couple of messages. Number one, the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life is you.
Yep.
Nobody else. And the other one is, we're all in the same boat. And if part of the boat sinks, the rest of it's going down too. So we need to care about each other. Stop allowing ourselves to be manipulated by those people who are trying to drive wedges so that they can get their agenda through. We have an agenda as Americans, and that is liberty and justice for all.
There you go. All right, Dr. Ben Carson, thank you very much for making a couch call today.
Beautiful studio. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. All right, meanwhile, coming up straight ahead.
Democrats are looking for a new leader of their party, and this could be their man.
The current model and the current strategy of the Democratic Party is an absolute failure.
Wait, he's a socialist, isn't he? But liberals want to draft Bernie Sanders and form a new party. Is that a good idea? We're going to have a debate straight ahead.
He's not even technically a Democrat. Plus, advertisers fleeing the New York production of Julius Caesar after it depicts the killing of President Trump. But CNN's parent company sticking